Hey guys! This is actually an improvised video. I just thought while I'm on a break here, I wanted to revisit some of the questions that I received in the past and also revisit how this whole Gabby Grace thing started. Because I believe a lot of people are fearful of starting something new, fearful of taking risks, fearful of failure, and I just wanted to share my experience and express that it really doesn't take that much to start. The hardest part of anything is to start, just to start. So I've already been asked in the past about my musical journey, so how I ended up making music, why I'm making music. As far as I can remember, literally as far as I can remember, I've always wanted to be a singer. I was 5 years old, I was singing in family gatherings, in schoolyards, on benches, anywhere and everywhere that people would listen to me. So that's always been my dream. For some reason, I never really took music lessons. That's kind of ironic. The first time I started taking vocal lessons is when, actually, in college. It's between high school and university. There's something in between. That's college in Quebec. So that's when I actually started my music training. Not only vocal training, but also musical training, because believe it or not, I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know how to play music. I just didn't know anything. It was actually a classical music school. So I studied classical music, which is probably why you can tell from listening to my songs, there's kind of operatic, classical influences in there. That's probably also why had me go in epic music, because epic music is basically from classical music. I mean, the orchestral elements, all the different layers, it's just so many instruments being used. It sounds like a movie soundtrack. So that comes from that. Although it was really not something that I planned or that I thought about beforehand, it's really something that he's given me out of the blue as the genre of music I would be making. But I digress, back to where I was going. So I basically started seriously training my voice when I was around 17. At that time, you have to understand, it's classical voice, so it's different than just pop singing. The reason why I was attracted to classical as opposed to pop singing is, for some reason, I may be wrong, but I felt like if I was going to study pop music, pop vocals, I wasn't going to learn that much. I didn't feel like it would help me develop my voice as much. And I think it turns out I was right, because vocal training, especially classical, it's just something else. It's beautiful, it's amazing. And it's easier, I believe, to go from being a classical singer and also being good in pop, as opposed to starting in pop and then becoming a classical singer. Although everything's possible. I mean, it's just my own opinion. And another thing you have to understand is, in my mind, I'm in this school and I'm literally the worst. Everybody else around me has been, musically trained, at least for some time before going into college. So actually, when I entered college, I had to take an intensive training the summer before just to learn how to read music, solfege and all these things, because I had no clue about anything. Like, I was a newbie. I was literally a newbie. So in 2 months, it was hardcore bootcamp music learning. Honestly, I don't even know why they picked me, because in my audition, I had no clue how to sing classically. Like, this was not my background at all. I had no vibrato. I didn't know how to, I don't know. It's just, in hindsight, it's impressive what happened. But I mean, they believed in my potential, I guess. So I made it in, and I was often crying after lessons, because we also had classes where we had to sing our songs, everyone in front of the other singers. And this was so humiliating for me, because I really felt like I was so bad, and I really felt like I was the worst of the group. I literally did not want to sing in front of other people. I just felt like such a failure. But somehow something in me is still pretty stubborn, and I was still there, and I was still working very hard and still working on my voice. And over the years, I improved, because that's what happens when you work very hard at something. I improved. By the end of my training, this was 2 years, I can humbly say that I was probably on the same level than all the other singers. And this is not because I'm so incredible. It's really just because I was passionate about it. It's a gift Yah has given me, a passion He has given me, and there was no way for me to quit that, and there was no other option for me. A lot of people grew up wanting to do a certain thing, and I understand there's life. That's why it took me time to actually start making music as releasing music on my own, because I understand life happens. You have to pay the bills, and it's not all glitter and butterflies. We cannot all just live our dream from day one, you know? It takes sacrifice, and it's still a sacrifice. It's a labor of love, it's a labor of faith. And in a way, like, I know where I stand, although there are a lot of you that are very passionate about my music and follow me faithfully. I know that my following and my reach is nowhere close to what I would want it to be. And it's not all about numbers and reaching millions and millions of people. That's definitely not my main goal, because otherwise, what am I doing on my own? But still, when you create something, you want to reach as many people as you can. I mean, that's the point, right? Otherwise, we would just be in our rooms doing our own things as a hobby and just keeping it to ourselves. But when you have a passion and you want to share it with the world, your goal is still to reach people. And also in my case, I want to reach people in a way that also God somehow reveals Himself through the music that He's given me to make. And so, after I finished college, I went to university, continued my vocal training, my musical training, and that was 3 more years, getting vocal training and overall music training, and studying different kinds of music, different kinds of genres, and even did a bit of acting, and also composition classes, which that was something that I had to be working on. Because at this point in my life, although this was my dream, I really was lacking some kind of direction to really focus on my mission, to really work on that as a career, for lack of a better word, because it's not really what it is, but anyhow, so I needed to do things to push myself to keep doing it. And so that definitely helped. Once my studies were over, I really didn't know what to do next, because I did not want to be an opera singer. Although I love classical music, my goal was not really to do that just to sing opera. It was just for me personally to develop my voice, but it was not to be an opera singer. But I also did not want to be a pop singer. And anything in the artistic world, it's not a path that is straightforward. You know, it's not like you study in law, you finish your law schooling, and then you apply to different firms for a job, and then you work in the field you studied in. That's not how it works in the artistic field. You have to be an entrepreneur. That's one of the things that I find very sad about our education system, and also the way most of us have been educated all of our lives, even by our parents and by society. Unless you're really lucky and blessed in that aspect, and you have parents or people that went before you as entrepreneurs, that's not really the way we're being taught to live. You know, we're taught, pick a job that you want to work in, study that, and then work that job, and then work that job until retirement. And then, you know, it's a sad way of living. But very rarely in our generation have people been taught, you should learn a skill and you should learn to be independent. You should learn to build your own business. I mean, most of us were just not taught that way. And in the day and age we're living in, especially with the last few years, a lot of us have realized that moving forward, this is the way to go. The best security you can have is not having to depend on anything or anyone, right? It's not easy. It's probably more difficult on many levels, but it's much more rewarding, and you end up doing what you want to do on your terms. So, all of this brings me to after my school years. So once my studies were finished, it's not like I had a straight path. So I was just praying the summer after I finished, looking for direction from God, and I took the summer off, and then in the winter I had a 2-month mission trip. For anyone who knows what the last reformation is, I went there before it was a thing, when it was still a very small movement. I just was looking to, start afresh and ask Yah himself, what direction should I take? Because I had no idea what to do. I had this dream, but it's not like I knew how to make it happen. I didn't know what to do next. So I just went on that trip for 2 months, and what happened was pretty different than what I had requested from him, because before going there, I made it a point to start the year with fasting and prayer for Yah to really speak to me and tell me what to do next. But instead of guiding me with music and other things, he just showed me who my husband would be. So there's that. So when I came back from this trip, my now husband and I got engaged pretty much within a month and got married within a year. And then life just was a whirlwind from there. It was a blessing. Lots of beautiful things happened, but it was also a whirlwind. And so, we have to have jobs to pay for our home and to pay for all things. So I just took a job, a stable job. And I knew, within me, I knew this was something temporary. But at the same time, I didn't really know, because you all know how consuming work gets, like a 9-to-5 job or just like a full-time job. It's very consuming, and you still have to get quality time with your husband or wife and take care of your family. And then COVID happened. And when it happened, it kind of gave me a slap in the face, because I figured there's a lot about this that reminds me about Bible prophecy. So I'm pretty confident time is getting short, So I was like, this music thing, if it doesn't happen now, it's never gonna happen. So I have to make it happen. And so I did. And you have to understand, I'm not an entrepreneur. I have my voice, but I don't play an instrument. I don't know how to create arrangements on a computer software. I just literally have my voice, a piano to find my chords, and songs in my head. That's all I have. So it took a lot of time and praying, and finally I found someone that I explained my ideas to, who was able to bring them to life through arrangements. And in late 2021, Heaven on Earth was finally released. But it was not from a place of, I know what I'm doing, I've done this all my life. So I guess the reason why I'm making this whole video is not just to be there like me talking about my life, but also to be a testimony to someone out there that some of us really start from scratch. Not everyone starts with a good foundation. A lot of us have to build, before building anything, you have to build a foundation. And it's hard, it's very hard when you have no clue what you're doing. And sometimes I'm still amazed and proud, even if I haven't reached nearly as many people as I dream of, in the small amount of time that it happened, with the small amount of knowledge and resources that I had, and with growing a family and lots of other drastic things happening in our lives. It's still kind of an accomplishment that it still happened. And so I know it looks like nothing from the outside, but to me, I'm still happy about it, but I'm not satisfied, obviously. But it's a start, right? We start somewhere. Just to kind of summarize how I started this EP and all the steps I took, because again, you may think you need a huge budget, you may think you need a professional studio, you may think you need all of this and that. All you need is to be resourceful. Literally, that's all you need. I researched videos on how to set up a home studio with as cheap of a budget as possible. Basically, my studio was just my desktop with my computer, speakers, a microphone with an isolation shield to shut the noise around, and a computer software to record myself. Like, that's literally all I use. And even the software, I found something that was free. So all in all, I mean, a few $100s. That's what it cost. And then of course the most expensive part was actually getting someone to create the arrangements. You can easily get something on a very small budget. Then it just depends on what's important to you. But it really doesn't have to be crazy. It really doesn't have to be. And so Heaven on Earth was released in late 2021, and the rest is history. And history is still in the making, hopefully. Now, with a lot of other things that have happened in the last 2 years, still growing a family, taking care of my babies, wanting to continue music, everything has to be in its proper place. And trusting, yeah, is not always easy, especially when you're stubborn about what you want. But that's why I'm on this break, because I can't right now. I just can't do anything more. And something I learned from my experience on this music journey is that if Ya is not behind what I'm doing, it's really not worth anything anyways. And that's just a side note, because as believers, whatever we do, we don't just do for the sake of ourselves, right? We do to glorify Him, for His kingdom. So therefore, it's not up to us how and in what time frame things happen. I've asked Him in the past, like, why my whole life did I want to be a singer, but I was not serious about it, or I didn't know what music to make, what genre to make. I did not even know what songs to write. Like, why? If it is my dream, if it is the gift you've given me, why for so long I just didn't do anything with it? Because sometimes I look back and I'm like, I wish I would have started this like 10 years ago. Where would I be now? But at the same time, the answer God gave me, honestly, is even if you would have done anything before the appointed time, right? The time when I started receiving the songs from Heaven on Earth, it would have been worthless. And it probably sounds harsh, but to me it's comforting, because it's true. Anything we do, even if we think it's amazing, and honestly, when Ya is not behind something, it's usually not really that amazing. But anything we do, if He's not behind it, it's worth nothing. Like, it's really not. It's not gonna have the impact it's supposed to have. It's not gonna plant the seeds it's supposed to. And it's just not the same. So He uses everything, even things that are our fault, and He turns it for His glory at the end of the day, if we are willing to leave everything in His hands. I've also been asked before if I am doing or will be doing live performances. I've done in the past more like classical performances, especially during my studies. I would do like classical shows and sing opera. But especially the genre of music I'm making, I would have to have a soundtrack of the whole music behind me, which is feasible. But at this point in my life, I'm more of a homebody. So I cannot really perform anywhere, and honestly, I'm not really that interested in doing that. Maybe in the future, in a different season of life, if at this point it's possible. Who knows? Maybe I could try some a cappella online live performance at some point, but otherwise, that's pretty much the answer to that question. In terms of just my music journey, I don't know if that was insightful in any way. Maybe you can tell me your feedback, if there's anything that encouraged you, helped you in your own walk or your own dream that you have. And if you have other questions, you can share with me. I love to answer questions, and at some point I'd love to do lives. But right now my days are very unpredictable, so I never really know when it's gonna be quiet. So that's why it's not yet happening. But I hope this was enlightening, and I hope this was edifying for you to know. And again, this is not to bring the focus on me, it's to glorify the Father. Because at the end of the day, He's the one who was behind. I actually also need to backtrack a little bit, because I started my studies in music when I was 17, but I was not a Christian until a year or two later. So when I started my studies, I was not even, it's not like I received a revelation or something that I should be doing classical music. There was just something that was telling me that's the path I should take. And so it's just to show every single part of this journey that I knew or didn't know about was all planned by Him. And I have to trust that the way forward is also planned by Him in His timing. And believe me, I have songs, even the last few weeks, I have a lot of other songs that He's giving me that are actually a lot different, that are more encouragement, hopeful in a way, because I feel like we are in a season where there's two things that should work in parallel. On one level, it's really important to know our enemy and to understand the spiritual battle we're involved in, and to be fighters and warriors. But at the same time, it's easy to get caught up in the darkness and be overly focused on that and forget the goodness and the kindness and the patience and the joy that God wants us to enjoy, even in the midst of all the craziness. So He's given me other songs. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I can't believe He keeps giving me melodies if it's not gonna be used for anything. So pray with me that He guides me and shows me when and how to do all of that. Anyway, guys, this was a long video, but it was an update. It was a topic that I wanted to revisit 2 years after all of this started. I'll just wrap this up by reminding all of you that right now, Heaven on Earth is 25% off. The CD, the digital downloads, the bundles, everything, 25% off. Even if you want to buy bundled CDs, packs of 10s or more CDs, it's a very good deal right now for the week of my birthday. Because I needed an excuse. Really, it's the only reason. And if you want, if you feel led to, I do have a Ko-fi page where people can support my future projects. It can be a very small donation, but it does help me. Everything that people contribute is literally just to fund the next songs, the next albums. So if you want to help with that, even though there's no time frame, there's no date, you can still do that. It's not something I take for granted. It really is a blessing for me to know that people love what I do so much that they want to contribute. It's not something I take for granted. Anyways, guys, I took a lot of your time, but I hope this was also entertaining in some way. I love you all, and hopefully I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.